Hello mini pilots. In this video we're going to be looking at the vertigo effect, which is basically where we can warp the background and sometimes the foreground of our video. Now this is a really simple thing to do. I started off with this piece of footage here, which is just the drone obviously flying straight towards this tree, and then we can turn it into this. Now this is a fun thing to do and it's a great effect, but it is important not to overuse it. If you do it in scene after scene, it can get a bit too much. Now this effect works great when we're flying towards things, and it can be a great way of highlighting a certain object like a mountain edge or a castle. However, being in lockdown, I've decided to show you how you can do this in the back garden, because it's practical and not weird at all.
It's my Triceratops.
Okay, let's get started. Now I'm going to start off by going over the settings. If you want to do this, I recommend when you shoot to shoot in a smooth mode, to shoot at 2.7K. This is important because we're going to be cropping into the image and we want to lose as little resolution as possible. And I've decided to shoot this in 24 frames a second because that's what I'm going to be shooting the rest of the timeline as, and it's great to use the new features. Traditionally, the vertigo effect was achieved by moving the camera forwards and zooming out at the same time. But we're going to achieve this effect by zooming in post-production using the scale option. So we're going to start off by getting the footage we need and then dropping it into DaVinci Resolve to edit it. Now I'm using DaVinci Resolve because it's free software. If you know how to use Premiere Pro, you can use that instead. Now to do this, I'm actually going to do it in reverse. So I'm going to start off close to my face and then move away whilst filming. Now the reason I'm doing this is because it's easier to get me in frame and then move away and then fly towards my face and risk having the drone fly into it. And here we can see a beautiful combination of not being able to go to hairdressers and hat hair as well. Okay, so this is the footage I managed to get. And it's really easy to achieve. I'm just filming whilst moving back with the drone. Once we've got the footage, we're going to open up DaVinci Resolve and drop it on the timeline. If you don't have this software, I'll have a link in the top right hand corner of the screen now to show you how to download this software for free. First thing we're going to do is we're going to change from the cut section into the edit section by clicking this icon down here, and then we're going to import some footage. We can either right click on the background and press import footage, or just simply press Ctrl+I. Once we've done that, we can select the footage we want to use and drop it into the media pool on the left hand side. We might get a little note asking if we want to change the frame rate, and the chances are that we do. From here we're going to want to click on the piece of footage you want to use and it'll appear in this box just to the right of it. From here we can slide backwards and forwards using this little line here to choose where in the timeline we want to be, or we can press spacebar or the play button to scroll through the footage. Now what I'm going to do is select the piece of footage I want to use, and where I want the piece of footage to start, I'm going to press I, and this means it's been marked in. And then we can play a bit further, and then when the camera stops, I'm going to want to mark it out. And we do this by pressing the letter O. So then you should have a small clip, and we can drag this down and drop it into our timeline. Now once it's dropped into our timeline, we can look on the screen on the right hand side here, and this is going to be our final video. Now we can use the red line to scroll backwards and forwards through the footage, or if we bring it back to the beginning and press spacebar, we can watch what we've got all the way through. What I'm going to do from here is just choose exactly where I want it to start, just a bit more finer detail. So I actually want to start here, so what I'm going to do is press B to get the razor tool up and click along the red line. Once I've done that, I'm going to press A to select the first piece of footage, click on it and then press delete. And this will remove that from the scene. So now it starts with me taking the hat off. So what I want to do now is start to add key points so I can zoom in. And this is how we're going to create the effect. I'm going to go up to the top right hand of the screen with the piece of footage selected and the red line in the place where the camera starts to move. I'm then going to click on Inspector, and where we've got the scale and position options, I'm going to hit these two little diamonds next to them, and this is the keyframes. And by doing this, we've ensured that the scale and the position of this particular frame and all the ones before are not going to adjust. Next, we're going to want to go to pretty much the end frame, so I'm going to drag the red line to the end of the footage and press back with the left arrow key, and this will bring us to the last frame. We can then go back up to the position and scale area and zoom in until we've got it about the same size as I was at the beginning of the footage, and I'm going to use the numbers in the position of the X and the Y. The Y position will move us up and down, and the X position will move us backwards and forwards. And we can simply click on the numbers and drag them. So what I'm doing here is I check the size of my face in the first frame and then go to the end frame and try to get my face roughly the same size. I can navigate to the first and last frame using the red slider, and then when I update the zoom and position, the keyframes will automatically update. So when we scroll through, it appears that the background is zooming in. Now where we've zoomed in, we will lose a bit of quality, so this is important while we shoot in 2.7K if we want to do this. You can do this in 1080, but the loss of quality will be more noticeable. So here's the final result. So when we're filming, if we start further away from the subject and fly towards them, the background will appear to get wider. Whereas if we start off close and fly backwards, the background will appear to zoom in. Now I personally prefer it when the background gets wider, and a way around this is to shoot the video where I'm flying away from myself and then reverse it afterwards, which is what I'm going to do now. This will give the impression that the background is getting wider and not zooming in. Bearing that in mind, I've got to put my hat on, so when I reverse it, it looks like I'm taking it off. So in this piece of footage, I'm going to scroll through and find the piece I want, press I to mark it in and O to mark out. Once I've selected it, I can drop it down into the timeline and move the red marker to the beginning. And this is what we have. Once we've done this, we can then right click on the footage and then go to change clip speed. We then click on reverse speed and then click change. So when we press spacebar, it will then scroll through. Now I recommend doing this before we add the keyframes, because if we add the keyframes first and then reverse it, it can ruin our timing. So now I've got this footage where if I scroll through, it looks like I'm zooming in towards myself, which will make the background appear to get wider. In contrast to the first piece, we're actually going to drag the red line to the end of our footage and press back on the arrow key to get to the last frame, because this is where we're closest to the drone. We're then going to hit the diamonds to lock in the keyframe and the position. We're then going to drag the red line back to the beginning of the footage, and we're going to zoom in and try to get the same size and position that we have at the end of the footage. So here I go, I've zoomed in. So here I'm zooming in and moving the position across to the left, and if I go to the end I can see I'm a bit slightly larger, so I'm going to up the scale a bit and then change the position to match. So the Y position will move us up and down, and the X position will move us backwards and forwards, and we can simply click on the numbers and drag them. Now here I've noticed that it zooms in further than I'd like halfway through the footage, so I'm going to drag the red line to where I'm zoomed in too far, and I'm going to scale myself down, and again make sure I'm in a better position that will match the first and last frame. So now when I scroll through, it should keep me fairly centered. Now when you play back, it may be a bit jumpy because there's a lot of information going on, but once we've exported this, it should look fine. Once we've done this, we're ready to export it. We can just go down to the bottom here, click deliver, give ourselves a file name, select a folder we want to save it to, and press save. Now I was going to say this is an MP4, I'm going to add it to the render queue, and then we go over to the right hand side and press start, and this will render it out to the folder we selected. If it's a short video, it shouldn't take too long. We can then go into the folder we dropped it into, and this is the final result. Steven Spielberg, eat your heart out. We can see nearer the beginning the quality isn't great, but I did zoom in to a scale of over 5 times the limit. If you don't want to lose any detail, you should be able to zoom in to a scale of 2, and this will make sure you don't lose any quality. Now it's time to do the rest of the family, and then you can put together a film like this. No expense spared. Why not try applying this to different things? After my last video of how to fly through small gaps with a Mini, link in the top right hand corner of the screen now, I decided to do it on this gap here. And in this piece of footage, it was a bit sharp to stop and start with the effect. So what I've done is gone up to Inspector in the top right hand corner to bring up the zoom and precision options. We can then go to the diamond for the key points and press the arrow next to it, and this will bring us to the nearest key point. We can then right click on it and press ease in, and then click on the arrow again to bring us to the next key point, right click on it and press ease out, and this will just smooth in and smooth out the footage. So when it goes along, we've got a nice smooth flow. Wonderful. So give it a go. Once you get used to doing it, you'll become nice and easy second nature, and you have the option to add a little bit more interest to your footage if you need it. Just remember not to overuse it like I did earlier, it can leave you feeling a bit sick. So have some fun with it. If you've got any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section down below. If you found this video useful, hitting the like button is a good way to let me know I'm going in the right direction. And if you want to see more videos like this, hitting the subscribe button will let you know as soon as I've uploaded any more videos. Okay guys, that's it for this one, and I hope to see you in the next one.